Hey everybody, Cole here with Classic Mini DIY, and we are out of the shop because we are in this brand new, freshly rebuilt 1167 high compression 1100. All right, on today's episode, as I said, we are going to be taking this beautiful original 1100 out for a spin after the full rebuild of this engine. If you haven't seen the rebuild, definitely check out the video that's popping up in whatever corner it needs to pop up in. This will cover all of the details about how we've rebuilt it, what we've done, but today's episode, I want to bring you guys on a little drive in this car so you can, one, hear it. I can give you my first impressions by comparison to a 1275, a 1293, and of course a turbo engine. These are obviously different sides of the spectrum. This 1100 is a really high torque engine, but it is a small displacement engine. So there are trade-offs, and it's a different driving experience. That said, let me give you a little tour around the inside and interior of this car before we hit the road. All right, while we're waiting for this to warm up, let's talk about the inside a little bit. As you can see, we've got a really special Dulles dash in here. We've got our oil pressure gauge, water temp, speedo, and a brand new tach to let us know when we are hitting our red line in this beautiful little 1100. Also, picked up some custom mats from some folks down here in South Carolina, and a brand new steering wheel with a lap timer. This thing is super cool. Definitely something that I want to add to my car. It's got that kind of cool rally look to it. Now we've also added a air fuel gauge right down there. It's running a little rich right now. Yep. And then of course some really nice classic seats. It's a really special car. Can't wait to show you guys what it's like to drive. Now with that out of the way, let's go ahead and take this out on the road. We're going to install our wild, different, crazy seatbelt we have here. And let's see what it's like. Now, to give you guys a little bit of a disclaimer, I have already warmed up the engine. So this is not a cold start, but let's hear it. Very happy. Starts right up. The AFR gauge that I installed in the exhaust is still warming up, but at idle, we've got about 13.5 to 14 on the AFR. Now this car has a couple really special things, but one of them is the SwiftTune CSI distributor. Now this is an electronic distributor, so if you take the top off of the distro, it's all computers inside. Essentially what that allows you to do is choose from a wide array of different ignition curves. So a distributor normally would have one ignition curve based on the springs and the build of that distributor. Now, in the modern age, we get to, one, get more reliable distributors in the form of these electronic distributors so they don't cut out in the rain, but also we have the opportunity to have multiple ignition curves. And that is the amount of advance the engine has over the RPM band. Now, it's really important that you tailor this curve to your engine. And we've chosen one that appears to match the profile of the engine pretty well. This is something that you want to do a little bit of trial and error on. But with that, we've got a nice little peppy engine and we can hit the road and have some fun. Now, one other thing I do want to mention before we hit the road, before we back out of this parking spot here, this car is a 3-synchro gearbox. So that gearbox does favor a earlier and lower displacement engine than say a 1275 because you do sit in second gear more than first gear. First gear is truly for getting off of the line because unless you rev match, you aren't able to downshift into first gear without a little bit of grinding. And that's due to the fact that first gear has no synchronizer hub on it like later gearboxes do. So first gear for getting off the line, but once you're moving, you're usually sitting in second gear or above. So anyways, let's hit the road. I just can't get over how responsive this little 1100 is. You put your foot on the gas and you just get instant throttle response. Now, that's pretty unusual for an A-Series, especially once you get into the bigger displacements, because they tend to have a HIF 44 or larger throttle bodies. And with a larger throttle body, your throttle response kind of goes down. Given that this is a small displacement and using an HIF 38, which is an 1.25 inch HIF style carburetor, you just get immediate pump from that gas. You get air into the engine, and with this nice high flow head that we've got built, it just is super happy. Now we're still in the small side streets of Charlotte, so got to get it up onto a little bit busier road to give you guys a taste of the sound that this engine makes when it's under load. The thing about the 1100 is that it's not a high revving engine. Because of that long stroke, you tend to lose out in strength in the higher RPM range. So people will think, well, this is a 998 block, so theoretically I should be able to just rev it to the moon, right? Not so much. But this is not why and how we built the engine on this 1100. It's meant to have low down torque and power in the low range, which is where you'll use it most of the time on city streets and even in mountain roads, which are just a little bit away from Charlotte. So, redline, I usually stick with about 6,000 as peak redline, and I don't really like to bring it up to that point very much with the 1100s. But the trade-off is that you have arguably more torque than you do with a standard 1275, which is what makes a car fun. So we're about to get on a big road. Let's open it up. Absolutely wonderful. What a joy this car is to drive. It is everything that makes a Mini wonderful. Power and torque at the bottom, and just zippy, fun, responsive. Wow. Now, after opening it up, temperatures are nominal, still idling perfect. The oil pressure is at about 60 PSI, which is awesome. This car is ready to go home to its owner. Now, I do want to flip the camera around so you guys can see exactly how it is to drive from the driver's perspective. And then we'll hop back to the garage and we'll talk over what's left in this car. Now, as you guys know, it is part of my MO to drive with bare feet in the Mini. And I've been given a lot of shit about this over the years, but I have big feet. Specifically, I have wide feet. And so when I'm wearing full-size trainers or tennis shoes, or flip-flops for that matter, I am hitting both pedals very easily at the same time. And this is annoying. It's very annoying. And more importantly, it's dangerous. So for me, in the US, where I can get away with it, I drive barefooted So you're just going to have to deal with it. Now, on the topic of the gearbox, as you can see, it looks a little bit different than later style gearboxes. And this is something called a magic wand. That's because it's kind of like using a magic wand when you're shifting. So first gear, second gear, reverse, etc. So it's very special, but that is attached to a 3-synchro gearbox, which is also special in its own way. Anyways, let's go for one more spin. Beautiful. Now for this last little spin, I think I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut and let y'all experience the sound and the experience of driving this 1100. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's what it's like driving a freshly rebuilt 1167 high torque 1100 engine. Truly, what a treat this engine is, and truly what a treat this car is. It is everything that embodies the classic Mini. It is peppy, it's fun, it zips around, and you have a blast driving it. It's not some 400 horsepower Mustang. It is everything that a classic Mini should be. So I am incredibly excited to be able to hand the keys back to the owner of this car. He's here in Charlotte, so he's probably gonna show up on videos in the future as we take our Minis out and have a really great time. If you have any questions about the way that this car runs or how it drives or anything that I covered in this episode, feel free to post those in the comment section below and I'll do my best to answer them. But there's not much left to do except to say goodbye to this car. So thank you so much everybody for tuning in, and until I see you on the next one, enjoy those Minis and motor on. See ya.